Happy Friday. How's it going, y'all? Got the show on the road here. All right. Today, we're going to keep working on our little palette selection tool thing that lets us pick which block we want to draw, you know? This little thing. Yeah, this says it's press on release, but that is not the behavior that I'm seeing. This does not look like press on release. Looks like determines when the button is considered clicked. Button release requires a press and a subsequent release before considering the button clicked. I want that. I want this to be what we do, but the responsiveness of the textures is not such that that is the impression you get when you do it, so we need to just switch this to button press so that the actual behavior is in line with the perceived behavior. Yeah, because we also keep pressed outside. We have this set to off, but again, this doesn't seem to... Note, this property only affects the button's visual appearance. That's fascinating because it doesn't seem to be the case. Because if you hold and you mouse over another object, the pressed... Yeah, I don't know. It works weirdly. If you press on one, drag over, and then let go on the other one. I would expect it to update your selection to whatever one you're like most recently pressing, but it doesn't seem to be the behavior we get. So we're just gonna not worry about it. Because now if this is how it works, at least you get the instant response here. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to figure out a way to change that in script. But for now, we'll just do this. I'm not going to implement the other ones at the moment because I don't want to do it all by hand. I want to think about a way. I don't want to have to make a new texture button and set up every single texture by hand for 5 different textures, for 5 different atlases for each button. Because there's like 50 buttons that we need to set up. There's 5 texture atlases. It's like hundreds of things to configure manually. So we're going to figure out a procedural way of doing it. We're just going to need to figure out a way of representing the pool of options and a way of encoding the texture positions. We got to figure it out because we actually need to build these images kind of out of the actual tile maps. Like I don't want to have to make a separate button image for the tile map. I kind of want to be able to build them dynamically from valid combinations, sort of. Yeah, I don't know. I need to do a lot more research on how this would work. But I'm going to a Godot meetup tomorrow, so I will be able to ask some people who know Godot better than me how we might do that. But that does mean no stream tomorrow. Hey, Fox. Oh, I see you over on the Twitch side today. All right. A Godot meetup. What is this? It's a local meetup in San Francisco. So we have an in-person Godot meetup that meets once a month. It's pretty cool. Back in October, we got Juan Linetsky, one of the Godot co-founders, to swing by. It was pretty great. They happened to be visiting San Francisco. Kind of one of the benefits of living there. Oh, weird. Why is this happening? Oh, this should be... Oh, I need to make this bigger. Kind of want to move this to the right side. I guess I don't want to move the whole UI. I want to move the block editor to the right side. There you go. No way, that's awesome. Yeah, it is awesome. You're stuck up in Canada. No one's meeting up there. Yeah. Boston has apparently a pretty big Godot meetup, so I don't know. I don't know where else. I'm not familiar with any other big Godot meetups, but I presume there are some. I mean, there must be in like Germany because that's where they held GodotCon, right? All right, I kind of like the editor on the right side. I like this a little better. Not just because of the slope that it coincidentally has right now, but I think I like this a little better. I might change my mind later though. What we do need, which I thought about yesterday, is we'll need tabs for the different kinds. So we'll want like a tab that lets you switch between like a certain kind of block. Like you'll probably want to be able to tab through these blocks and like different kinds of sloped blocks. I don't know. We'll probably eventually implement something. I keep instinctively going Windows key, right click, close. I don't need to do that anymore. I implemented an escape key. Love that. But how's it going, Fox? How's it going up in the Great White North? All right, so I think these three is at least sufficient for processing the inputs. I'm not going to set up the rest of them because, again, I want to figure out a procedural way to build these. Um, going good. Christmas break begins in 3 hours and you can't wait. Hell yeah. Yeah, I work a little bit next week, but it's pretty much still free for me. I will be out of town though, so this is going to be the last stream. Today is our last stream until December 31st. We'll do a New Year's Eve stream. So, yeah, it's going to be nice taking a break. I'll definitely work on some stuff. Don't tell your boss that you're watching a stream. I won't. I won't if you won't. I've decided I'm gonna over my little vacation next week. I'm gonna finish the remastered version of a game jam I did earlier this year. It's gonna be nice to actually have that out of the way. Let's open the code editor. I realize there's something we need, which we don't have. So we do need to make a little utility function today. Why not just stream whenever you're working on it? I mean, I'm gonna be down at my parents' house. I don't want to mess around with that sort of thing. I just want to hang out. I mean, I'll hang out. I'll have my laptop. I'll be plunking away at some stuff, but I still want to be present enough to like, hang with the family, even if I'm, got a little project on the side. But it'll be our last hiatus until GDC in March. We should be I should be streaming really consistently until then, after my little break next week. So we have a problem. It's not a huge problem, but it is something we need to do something about, which is that the input handler, because it can take any kind of arguments, and we've kind of just gone with strings because that's a pretty easy and straightforward thing to do. Um, we need to we need to process this. So we're sending a string of the block direction. The block direction is a vector 3i. We need to be able to get that string and read it back into a vector 3i. And so we need a little process for that. I looked this up a little bit yesterday. Like Godot. No, it was like I looked up like C#, like vector, like string to vector 3 or something. I got some good suggestions. Here's a couple of Stack Overflow ideas on it if you're trying to just. This person is getting a character array or something. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with that, but some people's suggestions are you can use a split. I think that's single dot split or single try parse. We could also do something like that. This kind of feels a little this feels a little like link like. I don't know if it is. There's also this down here, which I think is more like what we like, which is you split the string up using, because you know that the various coordinates are going to be split by a comma space. So you can split the string up, get an array, and then we can parse. Then we can parse those to an array. That also feels kind of link-like, but we'll see. We'll see what we end up with. Streaming Twitch fans are greater than family. Yeah. Most of the year, sure. I ended up not being able to go home for Thanksgiving for like, health reasons. And so I think I owe him a nice week of a visit. All right, so if we go back here into the tool system, they're the one that's going to process this. So excuse me. So I kind of want. So if we go to our block form, so we've got our block forms enum. We've got deck, which is 1, bulk, which is 2, door, which is 4. I kind of want to add one here that's like, we should probably call it like hall, and like hall equals 3. But actually that's not, I'm just going to call it both, and I'm going to say both equals 3. This is kind of stupid. We could also just say, well, because we want the enum to be able to parse this. We'll be able to parse the string into the enum. So we would say something. So here we'd say something like block dot forms form is say like enum dot parse block dot forms, and on next step. So we can get the form out from the string at least by just enum, by parsing with the enum. Then we need to parse out the direction, which is a vector 3i. That's where this is a little more complicated. Variable direction is. We could do something cheeky where like we could have an enum of directions, which I'm kind of tempted to do because they're, I don't know, they're like pretty simple, straightforward. They're kind of like they're kind of like they're just uh like a three-dimensional version of like the cardinal directions. So you could have like northeast up, I don't know, and like northeast down, because it'll be like 1 minus 1 1 or something like that, or like 1 0 1. And so like we could have an enum of that. You'd have to decide on the naming convention of that. But it's more straightforward to just use a vector3i, and it's more directly applicable. So I'm kind of tempted to at least try to come up with a little tool here, a little thing. So we need to split the string. I want C# string dot split. So it returns a string array that contains the substrings in this instance that are delimited by elements of a specified string or Unicode character array. I don't know what string split options look like. Default options, remove empty entries. Shouldn't matter. Trim whitespace characters from each substring in the result. That's kind of nice. Leandro, in case you don't see me anymore, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I appreciate that. Thanks for hopping in. Yeah, this is our last stream until New Year's Eve, so I appreciate you doing that. We're working on a little tool to convert strings back into vector3i's. Should be something like variable detection is a new vector3i. I guess I need to make this array first. That's what I need to make. Dir string equals string. What's going to be command? What do I pass into the string split? Can I just pass in a regular string? Does it need to be like some kind of character array? Oh, we just, on the string itself, we call split? An array of strings that delimit the substrings in this string. I feel like I just have the one delimiter. I guess you can have a variety. You can support a variety of delimiters. That's pretty cool. Boss is calling. Goodbye, folks. No worries. Thanks for popping in for a second. You have a great rest of the year. Okay, here we go. Source. Stop 1, stop, stop, 2, stop, 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 3, stop, stop. String separators is a new string array of just stop. Okay, easy. So the direction string is command dot next step dot split. This is our string array. So that should be fine. Call this components. We'll call this coordinates. I think components is technically correct, but then we can say variable direction is new vector 3i. Oh, I guess we need to turn the coordinates into integers, huh? That's got to be pretty straightforward, right? Int to string. Oh no, string to int. Is that just supported? Convert.toInteger32. Use this if you feel confident that the contents of the text box is a valid int. Safer option. Okay, there's some safer options. So int32.parse, that's easy. Try parse. And also just do the toInteger32 conversion. But yeah, parse or try parse is probably better. Int.parse. Oh, it knew what I wanted to do. It was ready to just autofill all of that. Love that. All right, that should be it back. I should probably make this a utility function though, like string to vector3i. We just need to record the coordinates. So we can't do obviously command.net step. We just say string.split. Then we just say return a new vector3i. So this will fail pretty badly if it's sent a malformed thing. I could probably try to catch it with some try parses, but that seems like unnecessarily complicated. And this is parsing things that I set up at design time. This isn't parsing up anything that will show up dynamically, I guess. So it's probably fine to just do this without checks. String split options. If I split out the comma and the space, yeah, I shouldn't need to do any additional string split options. Okay, cool. So here we just say, get rid of all this. We just say direction equals utility dot string to vector3i command dot next step. Cool. And we have the form and the direction now pulled out of the command. Like spilling water on my desk here. Oops. All right. So now that we have that information, we can set the active block tool. The active block tool can't just be a block. We need more information in a block. Oh, actually, no, maybe a block has that information. Right now it has a form and a direction. So yeah, it does. Sweet. So we can say, actually, we don't even need to do this part. We could just say active block tool equals new block. We could actually just, we don't even need to define these things, but we might as well. We'll also say block tool changed. Equals true. Okay, so we can process all our commands. And then down here we can actually start to do stuff. Once we're done processing commands. Well, actually, I guess we do it while we're processing commands. Okay, but that's all we need to change the block tool, really. Let's debug.log or debug.writeLine. Oh, it was going to set it up for me again. Selected block is active block tool. So I know we're never swapping block tool change back to be false, but we don't care right now. Let's try it. Let's run this in debug mode. Crash. What's going on? Keyword this is not valid in a static property. Invalid expression term int. Input string 0 was not in a correct format. Yeah, I don't know what the actual issue is. Oh, there's parentheses. I was not expecting the parentheses. Let's try that again. So this is actually, or it's this. You just split these. Try that again. The split seems to be happening fine. Crash. So we have 5 now. Okay, so we are getting empty strings. So we need to switch our string split options to say is it trim entries? Trim white space characters from each? No, we want remove empty entries. I mean, we do want to trim white space characters, but okay, I think it worked. So we selected the deck form with the direction 0, 0. We selected the bulk form with direction 1, 2, 3, just for testing purposes. I assigned these some random directions. And then we selected the block form of both with a direction of -1, -2, -3. And we got valid, we input strings, and we got valid vector 3i's out of it. You'll love to see it. Okay. So I should, now that we know that that works, I should go back and clean these up. Because these all have a direction of 0. Because they aren't facing. The direction is like what direction they're facing. I could call this the face, though, rather than the direction. Be a little cleaner. I kind of like that. I know that's like an unimportant difference, but kind of like it anyway. So we say we could have the form, we could have the face and the form. Oh, I did this very wrong. Block other form dot equals and face dot equals face. Call this block face. And then we just need to update that in the palette block script, which is somewhere. There it is. It has a form and a face. I love that. Love to see it. Um, all right, that should work just fine. Let's just rerun it one more time just to make sure. Immediately have an error. Test system. Oh, test system was not updated. I don't even think we're running the test system, but maybe we are. Base. Block comp dot get vector. Maybe we should call this something different. Where's the block comp? Block comp dot get vector. Oh, of I. Oh, here's our block component. Oh, this isn't a component. This needs to get out of here. But maybe it is a component. Someone could have a block as a component, huh? Do we support that? Not at the moment. We have a block buffer component. So at the moment, this is not a component. Move that back over there. But the block buffer is a component. So we have get index. vector. Oh, get vector is its position. Oh, it's its position in the... Right, okay, sure. Should call these maybe get index pos and get vector pos. So we want their index position, or we want their vector position. I think just saying get index or get vector is a little unclear. New block. Oh, we're just passing its position as its face just for testing purposes? Okay. It doesn't really matter then. Bop, bop, bop. Deck buck both. 0, 0, 0, 0. All the zeros. Their face is 0. That is what it is. Okay. All done. All done with that. So now it gets complicated. Because now we got to be able to draw. Now we got to be able to draw stuff and edit stuff and actually make things happen on the screen. That is more complicated. So our block editor has a grid line thing. To be able to draw stuff, we're going to need to have a tile map that is like where the ship gets drawn. Oh, hey, Cubus. Yeah, long time no see. Indeed. How are you doing? How have you been? All right, we don't need to do anything about this right now. So if we're going through here, we did a lot. I don't know when the last time you popped in was, but we've got a lot. We've got a lot that we've done. You can't. It's not really visible because it's on like the back end, but we've been having a time. We're remaking our auto tile ship editor in our entity component system, which we finished. We're kind of just going through. So we're skipping the view command stuff right now. We just did all these, which is like swapping out the tools. We'll need a preview block at function. So I think that's a good way to start, is with the preview block. Because that's the block that essentially follows you around as you're like just mousing around stuff. You can just see that one at all time. Finished? Whoa. I mean, it's like the initial version, but it works. And it seems to work at scale. So yeah, we need to add this functionality back in. In Q command in base null instance on a null instance. Oh, so I actually did do this. Attempt to call function in Q command. What? Why didn't that work? The other in Q command calls do work. So why did that one not work? Let's try that again. All I did was hit down, which doesn't do anything. Oh. Yeah, that will fail when we're in another scene. We were in the Stardock scene. So I actually can't call that right now there. I would need to delete the input handler first. Okay, that's good to know. Been busy lately with some side projects, mod loader, and other life stuff. Yeah, no worries. I feel that. But I'm glad you came by. This is our last. This is our last stream until New Year's Eve. I'm not gonna stream tomorrow because we got our in-person Godot meetup, our monthly Godot meetup tomorrow, and then I'm gonna be out of town next week, visiting family. So yeah, people have been popping in who haven't been in lately. It's kind of nice. It's like we're having a little catch up. Have fun with the meetup and the Christmas too. Yeah, thanks. I hope you have some nice holiday plans as well. I need to ask people at the meetup because I've been working on a little palette block. I want a little palette block, or a block palette is the right way to say it. I'm working on a little block palette so that we can just go through and select which block we want to draw instead of doing what I was doing before, which was like a keyboard command, which is fine for, when you only got 3 or 4 things to draw. But I'm trying to implement all of the new stuff. So we've actually got more like this. These are all the ones that are going to show up. These are all the blocks that are going to show up in the palette. I'm trying to figure out a way of doing it where I don't have to like manually encode a ton of information for this. Because if I need to do this by hand, I basically need to go through and then make a texture button for each of these, set up atlas textures, set up 5 atlas textures for every single button. So I need to think of a way of doing it more programmatically. Maybe like hundreds of parameters to select by hand. So I'm trying to think about how to do that. We can get rid of this right line. We know that this works now. No, just script it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is yeah, I just got to figure out a way I want to script it. I need to basically determine a way that I lay those out such that they're easy to draw. And actually what I really need to do is we need to not do this from this. I need to put these in their correct, I need to put them in their correct tile form, which is like this, where they're like split out. This was the worst one to pick as an example. It's like the only one you can't see. Oh, that was fine though, because I can just say outer. So like I need to split them up into these, into their sides. And then so we can assemble the pictures of them from like that, I guess. I don't know. I have to decide how I want to do that. Also have like 1 button per wedge and scroll to rotate. Oh yeah, that could be good. That could be a good way to do it. So plus and minus or similar hotkeys to make taller and shorter. You only have like what, 5 buttons? That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, it would be nice to minimize the number of buttons on the screen. I have this set up as a scroll container in case I need that, but it would be nice. It would be nice. But yeah, I got to think about how I'm going to do that. Maybe that'll be my thing I tackle at the meetup tomorrow, is just figure out how I want to structure this information and ask people how they do that, because I want to be able to eventually support like obviously we'll have different sets. Like these are the straight slope set, but we're also going to have like a curved slope set. But like this kind of information about, how they're curved, or at least as far as like which way they're facing, would be consistent. So if I can find a way to lay this information out, then I can come up with variants and not have to set this whole thing up again. So yeah, that's definitely the goal. Also, these tall ones are actually 2 pieces. And I'm not acknowledging that here, because like this one, so like if I grab my So this one actually has a seam. I didn't think about this when I set these up in here, but this has a seam that's like here. And at least when you're actually putting it in game, it would actually be drawn as two separate pieces. So I need to think about that too. So it'd actually be two separate pieces. And I need to be able to build the button from this stuff. So I want to be able to, basically I want to be able to auto tile the inputs to the buttons, which is kind of insane, but I think that'll be the best way to eventually minimize the amount of work. We're min-maxing here. We're trying to minimize the maximum potential amount of work that it will take to set these all up for an arbitrary number of inputs. So yeah, I think I need to set out. I need to set up the tile sheet because I left a bunch of space here so that I could put these in here and have them be part of the tile setup. So I think I need to do that. I think I just need to bite the bullet and actually set these up correctly as tiles. Break up their faces, set up their individual faces. It'll be a little weird deciding what counts as what for the diagonals, but I'll figure it out. I'm overcomplicating. Maximize the minimal amount of work that needs to be done. That will eventually minimize the maximum amount of work that needs to be done. So the thing I want to avoid is I don't want to have to redo this every time I come up with a new tile set. I want to have a way of interpreting a tile set and then understanding how to render it. Because in the long run, that'll be way better as I'm like coming up with different tile sets, or like God forbid we have like modders coming up with tile sets. I need a way of interpreting that. So I need a consistent way of laying it out so that the scripts can understand how to read them. So I just need to do I don't usually do a lot of design in that sense. I don't usually architect my solutions very much. How did this happen? But I need to do a little of that here. Just to be in a good place in the long run. All tile sets will have this layout, right? Or is that just jumbled? I mean, that was just an arbitrary tile layout I picked just to get all of the... I thought I would just use these as the button textures. And now I realize I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to actually paint the button textures. I want to be able to build them out of the tile sets. So I will lay them out. I need to break these up basically into their individual faces. And then all unique faces need to be added to the tile set. Because this reuses a lot of them, but it also has some of its own. Like, yeah. This reuses a lot of the tile sets here for all the straight faces, but I basically just need to identify all unique angled faces or diagonal or whatever, or like cut faces. All the unique ones need to be chopped out of here, fit into here, and then yeah, I need to determine what the consistent layout's going to be. Probably won't do that today, but maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, this is kind of jumbled. This is how I drew it. So this is just, I drew them like this, and then I put them in here. Apart from that, have you ever done a more decorative block, like with a lamp or spiky crystal material? Because you can see some details actually escaping the edges of each texture. Yeah, that's possible. We could run into an issue like that. There's gonna be a difference between tile set stuff like this, like basically tile sets that have faces that need to be assembled. I think stuff like you're describing like that, those are just discrete objects. That would be stuff like a computer chair here, or like one of these like consoles or like computer screens or whatever. Like, I think these will be discrete objects, kind of like the doors. Because the doors actually, while the doors do auto tile, they're rendered as a single thing. They're not rendered as separate faces. I might change that eventually, but probably not. But that's because doors open and close and stuff, and they change. They probably need to just be treated as individual nodes. So I'll probably do the same thing with like discrete things like computer screens and stuff. And the auto tiler will just be concerned with like the background, like the structural stuff. So drawing the buttons for things like a chair or whatever would be pretty easy because you would just have the sprite of like the different directions that the chair could face. But that is a concern for sure. Okay, so to get anything done here, I need to... So I kind of want to mess around with that preview block thing. Getting the preview block working so that we can at least just do this. And I think to do this, what we need is essentially just the sync system. The system that syncs between the simulation data and the tile maps and like nodes and stuff in the scene tree. So I think we can start with that. I wonder how we're going to do that. Yeah, I would at least be able to do this much, if not much else. Yeah, it'll be a good start. Probably something to... Oh, no music today? So we've kind of changed gears in the last month or so. We've stopped playing music on the stream because we've essentially run out of music. I'm kind of annoyed, basically. Pretzel Rocks basically in the last like 2 or 3 months like lost their YouTube license or something. Yeah, we've run out of music. So this is how much music it used to be I had tons of music. Like I always played this chill radio station which had like 40 hours of music or something like that. I think it was maybe less, maybe it was like 20 or something. And now we're down to an hour. I used to listen to the lo-fi station a lot. Lo-fi used to have like another like 30, 40 hours of music. It's down to 7 minutes. So what I've been doing when we were playing music is I was just basically playing calming cinematics, which had like 4 hours of music. But we go through all of that in like one stream. 1.5 streams at most. And there isn't enough music spread around the other genres really that I would want to listen to. So we've kind of just stopped playing music, which kind of sucks. We play it during the intro and the outro, but yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in the current licensing situation that Pretzel has gotten themselves into. Someone called John Williams. Pretzel sucks, huh? I thought it was good when I think Pretzel is good if you're only streaming to Twitch. Pretzel has like 500,000 songs for Twitch. I think my problem is that I'm trying to stream both YouTube and Twitch. And I think that complicates the licensing because it's a much smaller pool of music that has licenses for both. Fox Shadow, there's some royalty-free mixes on YouTube. Yeah, we'll see. My approach has been kind of the Aramis approach, which is like Aramis like listens to their own Spotify playlist in their headphones, and they just like encourage the viewers to like have their own stuff going on in the background. I don't know. If people really don't like that idea, like you just put on your own background music or something, we can look at alternatives. But for me, this has been good because I also got some new glasses that like really are not comfortable for long periods of time with headphones on. So I've kind of been happy to not have those on my ear the last like few weeks. Yeah, they need both, yeah. Just play different music in each stream. That would be insane. I don't know. I would need to know a lot more about OBS to be able to do anything like that. We got ads. Ads just started. I'm gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back in a few minutes. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Really appreciate it during this busy holiday season here. Maybe I'll play music while we're on break. It seems like an okay idea for those who aren't in an ad. All right, we're back. That was fun. Yeah, I'll start playing music while we're on breaks. All right, so we're aiming low to start here. We're gonna try to implement a little system, a little series of systems here. The tool system probably gonna need to be the one that is in charge of setting the preview block. Let's make like a preview block function. Like set preview block. The preview block is an awkward thing. Oh, I really like the little emote dance party. I don't know if I mentioned that. Hey, I heard pandas. How's it going? So There's an awkward thing here with the preview block. The preview block like actually changes. I know it's a preview, but because we want it to interact with the auto tiler, so like it actually does interfere. It actually does change the layout. There's really no other way to do it except to actually change. Oh, I can't input any keys right now without turning off the input handler. So we're going to need to update the buffer, the ship's buffer. If we're going to do that. So changing the block type reveals the hidden block at the prior coordinates. Why? Why does it do that? Oh, we can figure that out later. So preview block. So when we call the preview block, we give it some coordinates. The tile block has these coordinates. So tileblocks.has. So tileblocks is this dictionary that we maintain somewhere. Shiphull.tileblocks. Okay, so this is like a list of all of the tile blocks that a ship actually has. So we won't do that. What we would do is we would query the block at the position we're talking about. Here's the preview. Here it is. So we would query the block at the position. We would record the block that was hidden underneath here. So whatever it was previously, so that we can restore it easily. If we're in the erase mode, the preview kind of works inversely, where it just erases stuff. And it does so depending on what the block type, what the block tool currently is. Okay. And if we're not in erase mode, we set the hidden blocks to null. And then we set this as the active tile block. Okay, so we need to do this using the buffer, using the block buffer. While it's set preview block. So when we swap this, we want to call this. I guess we want to call it kind of under a lot of circumstances. Having the tool system being separate from the edit system feels a little awkward, but it's basically the tool system is going to be like the thing making the changes using the block tools. That seems reasonable as a division of labor here. So we run the tool system pretty much whenever we run the edit system. That seems fair. So if we're in the edit state, we run the edit system, then the tool system. So we're doing something in the input here. We are keeping track of the mouse coordinates and the prior coordinates. Hey, Kaiwanats. Good night. Writer works with Godot. That's a W. Yeah, it works pretty well. It can technically do GDScript as well. I think it's a little weird. I think it's a little awkward out of the box, but there is a community plugin that improves. It works, but it's a little awkward. But there's a community plugin that improves the experience. I kind of just prefer to do my GDScript in here, just to kind of keep the world separate in my mind. So it's a little easier for me to think in GDScript terms when I'm in here, and to think in C# terms when I'm in Writer, because that's kind of just more what it's for. But yeah, it works pretty well. We don't really need mouse position, but we do need these mouse coords and these prior coords. And these are getting updated all the time by somebody. I don't remember where. I think it's by game, the game node. Oh, the input handler is calling set mouse coords and set mouse position. I think like every frame. So in here, so down here, we can basically say something like, after this, we can basically say like if input dot mouse coords are not equal to input dot prior coords. Why can't I use these? Cannot insert. Wait, how are we in a static context? What? Oh, it needs to be game dot input dot mouse coords. Game dot input dot prior coords. Probably just have this be on the input somewhere, just like a mouse moved thing. But that has different connotations as far as what that might mean. So here we can do the preview. So we would say set preview block. We actually don't need to pass anything in. It would just use the mouse coords. Actually, we should probably pass it in. Game.input.mouse coords. So if the mouse moves such that it sets a different coordinate from the prior coordinate, we want to set the preview block. If a different selection tool is made, we also want to set the preview block. And here's where it gets a little tricky. So how do we know whether it is within, oh, we know whether it's within bounds because we know what the bounds are, right? Right. So here we can, I feel like set preview block is dumb. Let's just say preview block. Preview is a word, is a verb. So we preview a block here. It's always the active block tool that we're previewing, or a null if we have the block eraser mode active. We could actually say if game dot whatever is not equal that, we could say or active block tool changed. What do I call it? Oh, I say block tool changed. Is it a preview block or does it preview a block? It previews a block. So our block preview system is kind of involved because of the auto tiler. So because of the auto tiler, it can't just, you know, there can't just be the simple way that you would just do this normally is you'd have like a ghost object that like follows the mouse cursor around if it was appropriate. And then so you just have the one like ghost object or whatever. You could even do it for like when you're building stuff. You could like simulate what it would look like if you place this thing down. But the problem is we have an auto tiler and we want the preview block to show you what it would actually look like if you place the block here. So for all intents and purposes, we're just placing the block here so that the, all the outlines and stuff work. And so it kind of means when you click your button, you're actually just validating a change that's already been made. And if you move off, you just undo that change. You're just like, forget it. I didn't want to put a block there. I want to put a block over here. So it's kind of a little weird to do a preview block with this system, but I still think of it as a preview because it's like kind of non-permanent. But it's a little more complicated than just like a ghost, a kind of like a ghost tile, or not ghost tile, but like a little ghosting kind of object thing that kind of just follows the mouse around. I forgot I can't input anything. It's like a temp block. Yeah, it is like a temp block, but it could become permanent. So it is kind of like a temp. I like preview because it's like showing you what it would look like if you place the block there. Hold block? Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind preview. I'm okay with preview block. It's what we've called it. How's it going? How's it going? Smooth in a second. This is our last stream before Christmas Eve, so it's nice to see everyone. Or not before Christmas Eve. This is our last stream until New Year's Eve. We will not be streaming tomorrow or next week. So, hope everyone has nice holiday plans. All right, so we're structuring this pretty similarly to how we're doing it here, which we just end up going kind of down. Where's the end of our process function? So in our process function, we also kind of just, do we not? Oh, here's the end of the process function. Wow, this is a huge process function. We kind of do the same thing here. We say, if none of the other things happened, then we just say, if the mapped chords are not equal to the prior chords, or the block type changed, or we panned viewer, we do some stuff. Pan viewer we'll get to, but right now we're just worried about the first two. So we basically need to reveal the hidden block. We need to do an enclosure check. We actually need to add the enclosure checks to, we need to add these to our utility script. So we essentially do vector, minimum, maximum, do these little checks here. Is enclosed. Yeah, this is pretty good. I feel like these little utility functions came to us from Cubase. Kawanatsu basically just eat a few hours of family, rest is coding. Nice. Yeah, I'm hoping to finish. I'm hoping to finish a project next week. A little project while I'm hanging out and doing the same. All right, utility. So we got our string to vector 3i utility function we added today, which was nice. What is this check against? Oh, we actually plug in the minimum and the maximum, huh? That makes sense. Does it? Yeah, I guess that's fine. I had it set up a little differently here. So here I have ship volume max and ship volume min, and that's because I wanted it to end at 0. I wanted the build level to end at 0. I wanted it to go from 0 to 5 or whatever, so that it would match up with our deck numbers. But it's probably easier if I just do an offset when calculating the deck numbers. We just do like this. Yeah, we just do an offset. That's probably what we'll do. Okay, so let's recreate these. I don't like this plus and this minus here. Oh, we're testing whether it's enclosed. Right. Okay. So we're just testing to see whether the vector is unchanged by a clamping function. Probably a better way to do this, but I don't. Let's just go with what we got because what we got works. So it's return vector evaluates to vector dot clamp minimum. What was it? It was like minimum minus 1 plus 1. Oh, so we don't clamp. We don't clamp the Z, but I guess yeah, we don't need to clamp the Z. That's like a meaningless distinction. So why are we even doing this with vector 3s? Couldn't we just do 2s? Oh, but we can't do the thing I want to do, which like I feel like if you do this, if you do vector 2 vector is whatever. Let's not even define it. Let's just say vector 2 vec 2. So if you have a vec 2 and then or if you have a vec 3 and you want to make a vec 2, you can just do this, right? You can just say vec 2 dot xy. Can you do this like swizzle trick? Or vec2 equals vec3 dot xy. No, you can't do that. Is that like a Unity specific trick? Only the Unity implementations of the vectors could do that. I kind of like that. I kind of liked being able to just break them down like that. Just get a subsection of their components. That was nice. I would like to be able to do that. I mean, I know I could implement that, but I would need to like extend or have my own vector 3i implementation, which is what Sorcery Story does. Apparently, Sorcery Story has our own vector 3i implementation, which is kind of tempting. But let's not take on unnecessary work at the moment. So we're just going to return we're going to return vector equals vector dot or evaluates to vector dot clamp clamp, and then it's minimum plus 110 and maximum minus 110. I know it's not exactly clear the difference between is enclosed versus is inside. Is enclosed is like, are you fully within, like not touching the edges? I guess we could do a different check. I guess enclosed could be like, do any of the components of this vector match any of the components of minimum and maximum? But that seems like harder to write out. You can do this a little differently. Well, what did I pass in on the Godot side? That's actually a question. When I called this function, when I would do this check, would we pass in the actual ship volume max, or would we pass in the smaller ship build max? Because the ship volume, the accepted volume of ship is actually bigger than the volume that you can build, so that our flood fill algorithm can go around everything and actually do the proper flood fill deal. So we have our ship volume max. Why do I declare this in multiple places? And then when I'm checking, so like in here, min point, max point, where do I get this from? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I see why we're doing that. That's for laying out these combination blocks. Oh, so if I actually want to do it that way, yes, I do want to implement it like this. Okay. Vector 3i minimum. I have a private static vector 3i xy. We're just going to define this so that we don't have to declare a new one every time. It's XY offset maybe. Maybe we call this margins. Margin. Yeah, there we go. So we got this margin. We should call this like within margin. Call this in within is within bounds. Actually define the margin when you pass this in, which is awkward. It will probably expose a version that you can, maybe. And one more, which is just is right on the edge. We were talking about this some other time, but I kind of really do like snake case for like variable names. And then I just kind of like snake case in general. I kind of wish C# did that. I mean, I know I could do whatever I want, but I just didn't like the last definitions because we had inside and enclosed, and those kind of mean the same thing. At boundary edge. So it would be uh, return so that would be is within bounds and not is within margin. Margin. Okay, so if it's within the bounds but it's not within the margin, that means it's right on the edge. I guess that would be is at the margins. Those are the checks that we need to be able to implement our thing. I'm tempted to have my own vector 3i. Add a bunch of utility functions to it, a bunch of conversions. Pretty much all the special stuff that we're putting into utility is just vector 3i extensions. But whatever. I'm trying to be good. I'm trying not to take on unnecessary work that is really non-critical. All right, so in here, so when we do the preview block, so we can actually do the check here. We can say if game.input.mouse coords, we can say if utility dot within margin we'd pass this in, we'd pass utility dot. Right now we would just pass in a negative max ship volume. This is kind of scuffed, but it should be okay for now. So first thing we would do is we would say well, we might want to reveal the hidden tile. Or we could just have the preview block reveal lift itself. How do we do it here? If we like set the floor block, we say preview block at. So we do the check, we do the enclosure check before we call it. That's fair. Okay, we do pass in the volume minimum and the volume and maximum in this case. Kind of want to structure this a little differently. What if we pass this in here, margins? Call this something like chip build margins. You get rid of this call. And then at the margins is just So if it's within the bounds for this, and it's not within the bounds if you account for the margins. That's cleaner. It's a little cleaner. So now you can just say if utility dot is within bounds. Oh, you'd say if not utility dot is at the margins. You pass all of this stuff in along with utility dot ship build margins. Kind of would prefer to be able to like pass in an AABB or something to have it figure that out. Instead of having to like do it like this, but maybe we'll get there. It's kind of unimportant. So when we get to the preview block, so basically, so where do we clean up the prior block? Where do we do that part? Oh, we do that immediately? No, we don't. Oh, maybe change block type does it. I think change block type just calls that function. I feel like that is the case. Okay, yeah, so changing the block type itself causes a function, a tile block to be revealed. Okay. Call that reveal block. I think reveal implies that something's been hidden. Or like it was there, but you couldn't see it. So I'm not gonna say reveal hidden block. It wouldn't be mouse chords. Oh, I guess this would just be chords. So when we so revealing the block. So both of these involve getting the buffer. I don't want to call both of these in the same frame. Like I would like to just take care of it. So like this call always involves revealing a hidden buffer. But if block tool just changed, that's a little different. If block tool just changed, we don't need to reveal a block. We just need to try to preview the next block. I guess it doesn't really matter. So how would we do this? We would say world game. So what we would want to do to get the buffer, we'd say blocks equals game.world.get read write buffer. And it would be a read write buffer of a block. And we would tell it, we would need to know the entity name. Uh, Call it like workspace or something. Private entity ID, working entity. I want to find a better way of telling who and what we're working on. And I don't necessarily want to just store it here. Maybe this is something that's stored in the system, in like maybe this is like a property of the edit system. Entity ID or public entity ID. Workspace? I don't know. This is like the entity that's storing the workspace that we're doing edits on. I think that's reasonable. Should probably call it something else like canvas or something like that. Like canvas entity or editable entity. I don't know. I like canvas entity. So tile sets don't go from 0 to 1. They do. They go from negative numbers up, right? So if I pick this and I just start mousing around, yeah, they go negative. Is that based on where they're positioned though? So like if I start to move this around, if I just move this. No, so it's local. So I could constrain it to go from 0 to a positive number here. That would probably be best because then we don't need to convert. We don't need to convert to some perceived halfway point, which also won't work if there's no central origin, if it's like an even number of tiles or something like that. All right, so I should change how that works a little bit. I should rearrange some of this, but I don't totally want to do that now. I guess I can. So what we would want to do, I regret connecting this to a scene here because I can't change this without changing both. And that would be majorly breaking the other thing we use. I'm gonna maybe temporarily make another one of these. If I go into the grid line scene, I guess I could just make my own grid line scene, huh? If I want to create an editable copy, duplicate it. Oh yeah, I want to duplicate this. Duplicate. Just duplicate it right here. Yeah, obviously. Keep both. Rename this. We'll name this grid lines 0 based. And we're going to rearrange this so that the tile 0 is the upper tile. And that corresponds with our diamond down arrangement. So yeah, so we'll rearrange these a little bit. So this needs to move. So 0, 0 needs to become that -7. So it actually needs to go over by 1. It just needs to go up a bunch. So if we just went up. It's not sufficient. It needs to be like -16 maybe. Oh, that's too far. It needs to be right here. Our 0, 0 needs to be right here. It's 1 tile too low right now. So is it 32? No. So it's 40? Okay, it's 40. Okay, and then this, so what we're going to do is we're going to, oh, this is inherited. Oh, I hate this. So this is grid lines 0 based. We're going to make a copy of this as well, right here. This is going to be grid layer 0 based. It's kind of a stupid way to refer to it, but it's enough information for me. So 0 for us is going to be at that -1640. And it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 tiles in size. Okay, so we're going to get rid of these. What animation tracks? What do you mean animation tracks? So -40. Then we're going to redraw this. Well, let's open this scene up here. So we're going to redraw this like so. We shouldn't even need to redraw it. We should be able to just grab it. Why can I not do that? Oh, like this. I gotta do it like this. So we're just gonna grab this and move it down. Like that. Doesn't look totally right. Oh, it's 40, not minus 40. There we go. And then I just need to, oh, I did a bad thing. I thought I was in grid line 0 based. We're gonna try to fix this. We're going to close grid lines because we do not want to touch these. Although we do want to note how far it is to the next one. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles up. Okay. So there's 4 tile spaces. It's 4 tiles up to the next layer. We're going to make sure I didn't break this. It doesn't look like I did. Good. This should be a scene. I don't know why this isn't an instantiated scene. I guess that made it okay either way. So we're making this so that we're only ever going to be, oh shoot, it needs to be up by one more. I forgot about the margin. 32. And this needs to be drawn one lower. I forgot there was a 1 tile margin in the buildable area. And this grid just shows us the buildable area. So 0, 0 is there just outside. Although it makes you wonder. I'm wondering how I want to deal with stuff that's just outside of the block space. Maybe I don't want it to be like that. Like I was going to create the block volume areas. I was going to create the block buffers based on the maximum ship volume, which is bigger than the buildable area. But that doesn't totally make sense because the block buffer is supposed to describe the blocks that exist in those spaces. And if I'm filling up the buffer to be bigger than the buildable area, I'm just wasting space. Unless I want to be able to describe what is in the space besides just blocks. Like if I want to be able to describe like what if someone is like floating right next to the hull here. Does the ship care about that? Would the ship care about something that's just right next to it? We'll be able to get the coordinate. Okay, yeah, I think this is it's fine to do what I'm describing here. just keep it like that. So we're actually going to change our buffer size to be the buildable area. So I kind of want to change this to be, this isn't max ship volume. This is going to be max build volume. So we don't actually need the ship build margins anymore then. We're going to need to change some of our stuff here. It's going to be 15, 15, 5. Max flood volume is going to be new. It's going to be max build volume dot x plus 2 or plus 1. Yeah, like that. So we'll flood. We want to be able to flood beyond the buildable area. We also call this ship volume and then fill volume. We want to account for things that aren't ships. We actually might get rid of these restrictions at some point. These restrictions are based on the premise that we always want the entire ship to be able to be on screen at all times. And I think that's good from a usability standpoint, but we may loosen that restriction at some point. So we might not actually do this. Okay, so I kind of broke this conceptually, though. Because being at the margins. Actually, that's fine. We would just pass the flood volume as the margins. Or we pass the difference. We'd pass something in. We'd pass some kind of margins in. That's fine. We can still check if it's at the margins. What's the error here? Oh, I'm not done writing this line of code. Actually, here we can just check is within bounds. Because we're checking the buildable area exactly. So if the mouse chords are within the bounds of the max build volume, I still want to turn this into an AABB and just do an enclosure check. But we'll get to that. We will get there. So let's finish rebuilding this. So now this is going to go from 0 to 14. Oh, shoot. Trevoron's rating me with a party of 5. Red alert. Raise the shields. Load the photon torpedoes. We gotta repel our borders here, everyone. How's it going, Trevoron? How's your stream? Trevoron raid, yes. How are you doing today? Hello, raiders. Welcome to like our last stream before New Year's Eve here. We're about to go on a little holiday break. Kind of getting into. We're kind of biting off more than we can chew today, if I'm being honest. But how is everything? This is Digital Iliad for everyone who's new. We're working on a kind of isometric 3D FTL-like game. FTL as in like FTL faster than light. Working on an FTL-like game in Godot. We're still pretty early days. We're mostly working on tools. Recently, we've come up with like an entity component system, like a little memory buffer setup. We are working on, right now we're working on recreating the functionality that we have up in Godot here. We're trying to recreate some of it in our new framework, in our new ECS framework. So let me get rid of this global here for now so I can show some stuff. Will this work? Oh, crash. So as far as I can tell, enabling and disabling a global doesn't do anything. You have to actually delete it. I don't know why there's an enable disable button because it doesn't do anything. Yo, it was good. You're just messing around with some React stuff. Saw you working on this the other day. Looking pretty slick. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so for the raiders here, this is like our little auto tiler tool. So we're eventually gonna be able to use this to build like ships. Right now it doesn't do very much at all, but we've got an auto tiler that's an isometric auto tiler, which is kind of hard, kind of hard to do. So we can make rooms. We can build out these rooms of this ship. The system can tell what's outside and inside the ship, which is why it's coloring the walls 3 different colors. The mid-tone gray is for like exterior stuff. The dark gray is for like between walls and floors and things. And the light gray is like compartments, like interior compartments. So we can keep building. We don't have a lot of variety of pieces to use yet, but that's one of the things we're working on right now. I can also rotate the whole thing around. So we've got some, we're working on tools. Tools is what we're doing. Let's make a little airlock. I know this is the same demo I do every single time. I just don't have a lot of imagination. Can't wait till I'll be able to show off more cooler things. So we're gonna make a little airlock. The doors even auto tile. Oh, they don't because I haven't put a ceiling on here yet. We can even get the doors to auto tile, so we can get a double door, single door, double door. Maybe even a triple door someday. Yeah, we're working on some stuff. It is maybe too much. Yeah, thank you. You're working on React stuff. So you mostly do web dev, Trevoron? Yeah, right now we're working on recreating the editing system that lets us place down these preview blocks, which is a little tricky. So like it's this block that kind of follows the mouse cursor around. So we're gonna start there because that seems like the easiest thing to do. Then we'll kind of build our way up from that. Professionally, you do web dev. Usually you're either working on music or Godot stuff when you stream. Nice, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I figured. I was like, usually people that come through here are doing Godot or game dev in some form. What are we using the React for? What are we doing here? Oh yeah, we're looking at our script. This is where a lot of the input handling is. So we're looking at adding two things. We need to reveal blocks that have been hidden, and we need to be able to preview blocks when we do the previewer. Because like as you travel across, you want to reveal the underlying block, which we're calling it reveal block even if you're revealing nothing. Because the block buffer is actually going to be completely full at all times, isn't it? It's going to have blocks. It's going to have blocks with none. So we'd have like null. A null form would be like 0. I don't think we actually need a null form because you can't actually do a null check. Because if you say forms, is this form, if you and here with this form, this null, what do you get? It'll always agree. So we can't really do that. So we can't check for null, which is unfortunate. But we probably want to do like a hull as like a combined flag so that we can tell if a block is empty or not. We need to do something. We need to find some way of telling if a block is empty. You've been working on some overlay stuff for an upcoming stream. You would have done it in Godot, but you have an easier time making things look good with CSS. I feel that. I don't like doing the UI stuff in Godot. I struggle every time I try to use like control nodes and everything. So I don't blame you at all for that. All right, so we're going to need to be able to preview a block. So previously in Godot, we just had some dictionaries that we kept on our editor that kept track of some different things. We're writing to a buffer now, so we need to be able to get that. Excuse me. So we do need some working memory of like, what do we want to do? How do we want to do this? We need some kind of working memory to keep track of both blocks that have been hidden as well as, oh, pretty much just that. Pretty much just blocks that have been hidden. We're not going to put that in the buffer. Because we clear this hidden blocks dictionary every time we actually make a change, right? So like if we go up here to the ship editor and we go to is action just released, ship editor place blocks. Yeah, the first thing we do is clear out. So we have two working lists. One is the pending, the other is the hidden. So pending blocks is where we're storing blocks that we are placing but that we haven't permanently decided to place. I only really use that here, don't I? To determine whether we're basically doing an extended preview. Basically a preview that like takes up more. That's like when you do this sort of thing. When you kind of drag out and then drag back in. So these are considered pending blocks, and they are written to the tile map because they need to work with, well, one, you need to see them, and two, they need to work with stuff that's already been placed. So if we have this and then we do this, we need the auto tiler to be able to interpret that. So that's why this is a little annoying, is because we are making a lot of temporary changes. And we need to be able to restore those changes if we change our mind. I disabled the input handler. I can't escape out. It's easy. Looks pretty complicated. Oh yeah, the auto tile tool took a while to put together. And now we're rewriting it in another environment. But it's good. It's good. The the editor stuff here is pretty simple compared to like the process we go through to determine if we want to draw the outlines, because the outlining thing is like the bread and butter. It's not complicated, but it's like a lot of bitwise comparisons of things. The outlining thing is like the bread and butter of the tile stuff. It's actually drawing. So like for every, let me see if I can get a good example. So let me pull up the deck level scene. So yeah, here's one tile map layer. Actually, it's not one tile map layer. Here's one level of the deck. So like if you're going up and down, like so for each floor, there's actually 3 tile map layers for every single kind of thing. So like a floor has an X face, a Y face, and a Z face. A wall has an X face, a Y face, and a Z face. The door is just one thing right now because it's a node. It's not like a tile map. It's not a tile per se. I mean, we store it on a tile map, but that's because you can put scenes in a tile map layer. Yeah, so to render the floors and the walls correctly, you actually have to render each face separately and calculate between them like where the outlines are. And that is a little complicated. That is not something you can just do out of the box with the Godot tile system. Yeah, yeah, because we tried doing it as a single. We tried doing it the simple way, which would be like. So this is what we ended up with, where we just have the flat faces. But we tried doing it where where we treated instead of this, where like we split it up into these 3 pieces. We did try doing it just this, where this was the object that we treated, and we ended up with something horrible, this horrible monster. I'm going to show it to you. The combinatoric explosion of that was overwhelming. So like already we have like this variety of tiles. Like this is like all middle hall. These are like one face inner hall, 2 face inner hall, 3 face inner hall. These ones down here are the outer hall. So these are the combinations of that block, like all the different block combinations. And then for just one of these, like for argument's sake, like the 1 here, for just one of these, the possible number of outline combinations is this. This is the number of possible outlines. It's horrible. So if we zoom into one of these, let's pick a good one. So like this one needs to form an outline here. Oh, this one's actually wrong. Is it wrong? That can't be right. This one's wrong. Well, let's ignore that. Is it though? I don't know. But yeah, this is insane. I drew this out to just convince myself how insane it was. These are like all the different combinations. So we split them up into the 3 faces because that's at least manageable. But yeah, this was crazy. I'm a little upset if I actually did this outlining thing wrong. I think I did on a couple of these. I'm gonna have to go back and fix that. Drawing this out is what's insane. Yeah, I agree with that as well. I kind of did it just to convince myself that this was the wrong way to go. It wasn't that hard because it's like I came up with the format, which was just like, you see the. I mean, the benefit of doing this, the only benefit of doing this was that you could represent all outline states as a single bit flag, like they all fit, which was kind of cool. So it was easy to just represent the state as a single like a single byte. That was efficient. Everything else about this was insane. Yeah, it's wild. I'm nothing if not inefficient. Yeah, we're working on integrating some of these new shapes so that we can do some cooler ship constructions, but it's a little tricky. And we just wrote our ECS, so we're recreating everything in that environment to operate on entities and components and buffers and stuff. Oh, I need to finish this. I wanted to change the grid line system because the last version of this grid line thing here, this has the 0 tile is in the center. This has the 0 tile in the center, which I thought was fine. But now that we're indexing into this buffer, using the positions as the index, I kind of want to switch to 0 being the minimum tile. So way back here. It kind of sucks because it means that we need to decide on the maximum. Like we actually need to decide on what the maximum tile, the maximum size of one of these things can be, because you need to reposition the tile map such that the 0, 0 tile is at the top corner. So that's a little unfortunate. Because I was saying, at the moment, I want the buildable area of a ship. Like, I always want the whole ship on screen at all times for, like, a player cognitive load reasons, so that you can just see everything. I mean, you'll have to mouse up and down, or you'll have to go up and down between the different layers. But, oops. Yeah, you'll have to select between the different layers. But I don't want to have these big old ships that you have to scroll across to see. But maybe we'll get there. I don't know. Maybe that would be cooler to have these big, monstrous ships. You're going to have a shipbuilder too, but it's top down, so about 10,000 times simpler. Nice. Yeah, isometric or pseudo-isometric. This isn't actually isometric, but pseudo-isometric 3D stuff has been more complicated than I thought it would be. You're excited what it turns into? Already looks so neat. I'm excited to see what I mean, anyone that mentions the word shipbuilder has my attention. Do I not follow you? I do not. That's embarrassing. I forgot to shout you out as well. That's cool. I'm excited to see what you're building as well. Shipbuilder, huh? So are you doing, what do you mean? What do you mean shipbuilder? All right. I guess this isn't that bad. We can just, when we generate a new ship, we can just go through the layers, make as many layers as we need decks for, and then position the layers such that their top corner is always 0, 0 in the buildable area. Like, that's not that bad. We'll start by laying them out by hand, just for simplicity's sake. Oh, not what I wanted to do at all. There we go. So your 4 tiles. How tall is a tile? A tile is 8. So you need to be the 4th tile up. So you need to be 8, 16, 24, 32 higher than you currently are. So instead of 32, you need to be 64. Oh, no, you need to be 0. And then the next one up needs to go. Also, feel free to raid and run. I know I'm usually, by the time I raid out, I like need to go do some shit. No worries. Your game is like a 2D space sandbox with way too big of a scope. There's a long way to go. Oh yeah, yeah. I had an even bigger scope than all this. I was trying to do something more like what Cosmeteer ended up doing, and then I saw Cosmeteer and I was like, nope. I was trying to do this kind of a thing, but with like voxel 3D stuff, where like with like much larger scale. And then I was like, I cannot do anything like what Cosmeteer is doing. That dev is incredible. As a solo dev, they like made their own engine. Did I just duplicate? Control D. Yeah, that's what I want to do. So yeah, that kind of sent me into the direction of doing like FTL faster than light. Because that seemed more doable, because, you know, than what I was trying to do. We actually don't need 6 of these, do we? I was gonna limit us to 5, wasn't I? Well, the 6th one was gonna like not be a real deck. It was gonna be like where you put the bottom pieces of the ship. Maybe we don't do that. Well, I need to be clear about that. I need to go into the script here. Utility. It's gonna be 6. It's gonna be 6. Probably be better to do 5. We'll try it though. Yeah, the game looks awesome. Yours will be doo-doo compared to that, but you must try. You must try. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as long as you're coming at it, you're doing your own thing. You're coming at it in your own way. I think it's good. Okay, so this has a grid line scene. Which grid line scene is it? Okay, it's that one. That's the wrong one. So we're gonna get rid of this. And we're going to put the other one in. We're gonna put the grid lines 0 based. And that means we need to move some things. I guess you should be 0, 0, huh? But I changed the wrong effing scene again. Close you. I don't want you open. Okay, so you I need to move to 0, 0. Dude can also have its appeal. Don't quote you on that though. Nice, Nigel. How's it going? All right, okay, so we fixed the grid lines to an extent. Now the top tile is 0, 0, so we can just go through the tile lists and map them. We can map them more 1-to-1 than we could before. I don't know if, yeah, I don't know. We might not stick with that, but I think that's easier to do now. If we start to have unbounded ship sizes, uh, that'll end up being very different. I don't know if we want to have huge ships like that though, especially in like a turn-based game where you're spending multiple turns just like getting to where you want to go. Sentence you never thought you'd see seriously. You need to get going. Yeah, no worries. Thanks for leaving the lurk. Thank you for the raid again, Trevron. Hopefully I can catch you someday before I go live. It sounds like you stream before me. But yeah, have a great weekend and a happy new year, etc. Happy holidays. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. I don't know. I don't know how close we're going to be able to get today to our goal here. I need to do laundry. I need to make sure I go do some laundry before it starts raining. I'm good. Never mind. It's fine. Good for a bit longer here. I doubt we'll get the preview thing building, but we're on our way to something. What? I don't know. But we're on our way. There's a variant of this game that I think would be really cool where instead of like building a ship or building these different little ships, you end up with like this big space station. And that would be cool if that was like bigger than one screen. And it'd be like you manage this big old state. It'd be like Babylon 5 or Deep Space Nine. Excuse me. I need some tea. I need some of that caffeine. It's also very cold, which is making me sleepy. So kind of the next thing we gotta do. So we gotta actually implement these preview block and reveal block. We gotta decide how we want to store the hidden block. I guess that'll just be a dictionary probably that we maintain. Have like a private dictionary of uh it would be like vector 3i block. Could be like hidden blocks. I don't want the Godot dictionary, I want the system dictionary. Kind of like at, although, or maybe I like reveal block at chords. Reveal block at chords. Okay, so reveal block at, so how do I have that written here? So in here, this should be relatively straightforward at least, because like we are just rewriting some functionality we have somewhere else. The editing and the loading and all that stuff will probably be different because we're using a buffer instead of just this storing everything directly into the tile map layer. So preview block at, so we ask if there's a block here. This is the trick. So we need to ask if there's a block here because we need to save it. I guess no, we don't need to ask that. We can just save whatever. Yeah, because here we're manually assigning the null. We don't need to do that. The null is implied. So we'll just store whatever currently is here in the hidden blocks list. Let's just take this logic. This is the logic that we want here. Then I need this tile block replaced equals true. Maybe. So we do something like this. So hidden blocks coords equals so we need to say variable block buffer equals game.world.get read write buffer for block. We need to say edit. Oh, we need to get that. We need to know about the edit system. How do we want to do that? I don't want the systems to talk to each other directly. I would rather they didn't. But I need the edit system to know what entity we're operating on. We want a hidden blocks dictionary, and we want that pending blocks dictionary as well. I kind of liked active blocks. These are the same thing, aren't they? Like an active block will have a hidden block underneath it. So what if instead we just have like one dictionary, and then we stored some different kind of information here? We would need to store the working block. We would need to store the active block and the hidden block. I guess we don't care. I guess we don't care that much. I would need to make a data structure that would hold multiple blocks. Just a pair of them specifically. I don't care enough, I don't think. So we would get the read-write buffer. We need to get the read-write buffer of the ship that we're working on. So who knows? I wanted to say the edit system knows about that as the canvas entity. I didn't want the systems to talk directly to each other. Maybe we put this on the world, because everyone can talk to the world. Maybe we have a public. We don't have a lot of public fields on the world. Have like a public entity ID. Construction? I don't know. I liked canvas entity. I think that's confusing. What about like edit? We could have construction. We could have like public bool construction in progress. Something like that. That's better. That at least maintains no direct communication between systems. So we'd say game.world. Construction entity. What do we say for this? Get read. Oh, we need a buffer ID. Oh, so we need blocks. Would be block buffer would be something else. So this is actually what we need for to get first before we get the buffer. We need to get the variable. We need to get the comp. We need to get the component, which is game.world.get component block buffer. Type flag, right? Component dot flags dot block buffer. So we can get the component, we can get the buffer component, and then we can get the actual buffer. That's not right. Oh, we just pass in the buffer ID. So it's comp dot buffer ID. We'll probably still need the component for stuff. So here we can say hidden blocks at coords is, we'd say the buffer. We just get whatever's in the buffer at these coords. Oh, we would need to say coords. How did I do that? How do I convert? I wrote a conversion helper function. Who owns it? Who owns it? Block buffer own it? Does AAB, who owns this? Somebody help me out here. Who owns this conversion function? Is it the AABB? That doesn't sound right. No, it's not. It's block buffer owns it? Oh, block buffer owns it. That's weird. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense because the block buffer knows its boundaries, so it understands what its indexing system is. So you need to go through the component to get the stuff like this. So we'll say comp.getIndexPosition. Actually, I guess it would be getPositionIndex. And then get vector position. Actually, I guess it'd be get position vector. Yeah, let's swap that around. So get position index and get position vector. We would say buffer at comp dot get position index coords. Okay, so we can get the hidden blocks. If what do I call this? Block eraser mode. Converting GD script to C#. It's kind of an awful process. So that's this part. Use the AI Luke. Hey, Brain Zap. No, we tend not to do that. Like it. I also usually don't convert from GD script to C#, but we're just trying to recreate existing functionality, which eventually we'll have done that, and there won't be any more existing functionality to convert. So active block tool is not block.flags.deck. Is that not right? What is it called? Block.forms. That's right. So tile here we would say buffer comp. Actually, I guess we should save the index, shouldn't we? We say variable index equals comp dot get position index for coords. You say int. Buffer at index. Well, we just if block if active block tool. So we want to say if block active block tool dot form and block dot forms dot deck is not equal to block dot forms dot deck. Why doesn't that work? Oh. Parentheses to the rescue. We're doing some bit flag comparisons here. So if we've got this flag, then the buffer here actually just equals active block tool. Otherwise, oh, this is eraser mode. This is eraser mode, right? This also isn't right. Let me go look at the source. Why is this the logic that we use? So if we're in eraser mode, oh, not equal. Right, that makes more sense. Not equal. I don't know why I read that as equal. Not equal. So if this isn't a deck, then what we're going to do is we're just going to replace it with the deck, right? So is then we replace it with just a deck, right? Okay. Huh. I realize there's a weird gap in my block representations here. Let's not get into that now, though. So if that, otherwise, just say buffer index. We say buffer dot remove. No, not buffer dot remove. We say buffer index equals if. Yeah, I'm realizing that our block supports, because our block is a bit flag, it supports, any combination of forms. So a block could have a deck and a bulk and a door, or it could have one of these, or it could have none of them, or whatever. But we only support a single face. That is maybe a problem for the way that I want to do this. That's a problem if we want to do this kind of thing, where we have a slope. Well, it's fine actually if we want to do this kind of thing, because this is a slope that goes goes across the entire. You can see it goes across the entire combination of the deck and the bulk. So that's easy because the block just has a single face, so it knows that it wants to draw this. This is also easy, but what if you want to have this slope on top of just a regular floor? We actually can't support that currently. Eep. Huh. So I could just decide not to support that. Such that if there is a block, if there is a deck, if there's a floor and a wall, and they have a face, they just become this. I could just decide that that's what I support. It's a little limiting, especially for interior designs. So it means you could never use this shape on the inside of a ship. It would always turn into this shape, and it would be like a problem. I have to think about that. how we want to represent that. We can't just do it with another flag, unfortunately. We would need to have like an upper face and a lower face, but like I don't want to store that much information on here. I could make this a vector 4 and store something in the W, like to tell you whether it's, we could have it be like 1, 0, or -1 or something like that. To tell you where, like how far, whether the slope applies to the whole thing or not. But then we can't support multiple slopes, so we couldn't support like this one on top and like, I don't know, one of the upside down ones, like this one on the bottom. Couldn't support that. Oof. Okay. I don't love that. I have to think about how to do that. I have to think about how to do that in such a way that we don't just blow up this block struct. This is kind of why I wished I could have done blocks as entities, so that we could just attach the components they needed. So we could have attached like an upper face and a lower face if they had one. But that doesn't work with the buffer system that we're using, because we want to have all of the blocks on a ship in a buffer. We don't want them to have just, we don't want them to just be entities. Starting to regret not doing entities as components, like where you could just add an entity as a component of another entity, because that would have let us do this, where you had all of the blocks associated with a ship as just entities that reference that ship as a component. You can still do that in a roundabout way, but it doesn't work as cleanly with queries as it would have otherwise. Right now we have to basically statically declare all of our components, so we can't just have entities be components. I don't know, maybe I have to think about that stuff again, but that's not worth doing just to get this feature. So let's figure out a way around. So in this case, buffer index equals new block. Actually, it's just a new block with like nothing in it. It's just an empty block. Guess we can turn this into a ternary. All right, so this does a preview. And by preview, this just, replaces the block that's at the coordinates with the active block tool. It stores whatever was underneath in the hidden blocks list or a dictionary. so that we can restore it later if we need to. And that's what we're going to do here. And that will probably be it for us today. I got to get back to work. I have my day job soon. But let's implement, so let's have we'll get the preview block at and the reveal block at, and then we at least have the basic function of adding and removing stuff based on the input. We can't get any visual feedback yet because we still need to come up with our synchronization, like scene manager kind of thing, where we make changes to the nodes in the scene tree based on what's happening in the sim data in the game simulation. Because we've fully split those worlds out, and we need a process of. We already have our whole process of getting like input and stuff into the sim from the scene tree. Now we're gonna need the process of getting the actual sim data back into the scene tree when it needs to be, where it matters. So let's do the hidden block reveal. This is reveal all hidden blocks, so we don't want to do that. We want to do a reveal hidden block at. So if it's in the hidden blocks, and if it's null, then we just do that. We don't need this if else here either, do we? Guess I need this block replaced bool for something. Here we're just gonna say we gotta get all this stuff. I don't want to do some batch commands, so we can just get the buffer once and then iterate over it. I think here, I don't remember how I did it in Godot here, but I feel like we just made many calls. Yeah, we just made many calls to replace block at. We would just iterate one block at a time. That is not how I'm going to want to do it. That's fine. We can just shunt the selection process here down. So we can be like, are we going to replace any blocks? Maybe. Do this whole evaluation within that function. Yeah, that's stupid, but it'll work. So all we really do is just erase it or reassign the hidden block. No, all we do is reassign the hidden block and then erase it from the hidden blocks list. Right. Okay, that's easy. It's actually more effort to set this up. Maybe we want like a... I don't know. Yeah, it's literally just this. All right, cool. This is the basic idea behind previewing and revealing blocks. Yeah, okay. I need to get back to work. Let's see if there's anyone we can raid here. Big Boy Games. Big Boy Games is streaming. Who's on the team? Who on the team is streaming? Connie is streaming. Connie Dev. Oh, they're doing some Temptic stuff. I see a Temptic. Maybe we want to check that out. A few other people I'm not familiar with. All right, let's check that out. That sounds fun. Yeah, yeah, an indie game dev list. Yeah, check out the indie game dev team that I'm a part of. It's this really nice list. Oh, we are rating immediately. Why? Why? Oh, okay. Oh, that's people readying up. The countdown went by so fast. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do. But yeah. Oh, thanks everyone. Yeah, this has been awesome. Yeah, no streams for a bit. We'll come back Christmas, not Christmas. I keep saying Christmas Eve. New Year's Eve. We'll have a stream New Year's Eve. Hopefully, I'll have the remastered version of my first game jam this year done. That's my goal for while I'm down home. Just finish the remaster. So maybe we can play that and check that out when I'm back live. Yeah, ship it. Yes, the source of the OG ship it emote. Yeah, I'm hoping that'll be cool. And then I have enough time to work on it to get it done. I think it just needs some tutorials and some balance changing. I'm pretty sure that's where we left it off, and I just couldn't be bothered because that's such an annoying, tedious thing to do. Both of those things are annoying, tedious things to do. But I think I can do it. I think I can do it in a week. So, yeah. Appreciate everyone hanging out here. I hope you all have like a happy holiday, a good weekend, and a great rest of the year because, yeah, we won't be back till December 31st. We're about to raid out, so goodbye. See you next time.